Hello, welcome y bienvenidos. My name is Memo Benumea, but everyone calls me Memo. It is my pleasure to be the first of the planning committee to welcome you to the 23 event. We hope you enjoy your time with us. Since this event is taking place at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we are considering it to be a nighttime presentation designed for adults, not children. We have rated the performers R for rational, but also for requires accompanying parent or adult guardian. Just before the honoring ceremony, there is some nudity within a performance. If you arrived early to see my video addressing the question of appropriations, thank you for your interest. That video was rated G, inappropriate for children. The G rating also means that it was totally godless. If you missed it, the video is available at any time through the Free Thought Society's YouTube channel. A link will appear in the chat, but you can easily locate the video online under the name of Memo Welcome. In an effort to make the 2023 Día de los Muertos Secular event bilingual, some of the videos in Spanish will be showing today will have English subtitles and they will appear accordingly. So we are striving to make our 2023 event truly bilingual. Later, when we open the honoring segment of the program, we will divide into a Spanish room and an English room so everybody can do their honoring for a loved one and don't worry about the language that you're speaking. Afterwards, we will all come back together for the awarding of prizes and a social hour. I am now pleased to introduce the founders of the Día de los Muertos Secular event, Victoria de la Torre and Margaret Downey.
Thank you, Memo. Hello, and welcome to the 2023 Día de los Muertos Secular. I am co-founder of the event and a board member of the Free Thought Society. The secularization of this beautiful celebration of life is intended to give the fast-growing community of Hispanic non-theists a way to continue traditional rituals without religion. We want to give the non-theist community a day to honor loved ones, remember the heritage of ancestors, and appreciate our life, the only one we have. I'm very pleased to be co-hosting this event with David Tamayo, Memo Benumea, and the president of the Free Thought Society, Margaret Downey.
Hello, my name is Margaret Downey. Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of the Free Thought Society, welcome to the 2023 Día de los Muertos Secular event. Today's event will be filled with loving reflections of the life and work of many free thoughts, secular and humanist heroes, family members, friends, and yes, even our beloved pets. The Free Thought Society is very pleased to be a co-sponsor. The Free Thought Society is a 501c3 educational nonprofit organization that was founded almost 30 years ago. You can find us at the web. Hold up the ftsociety.org. And we have quite a lineup of speakers and entertainers today, and we hope you enjoy the program. So without further delay, let's hear from event planner David Tamayo, who is also representing a co-sponsoring organization, Hispanic American Freethinkers.
Thank you, Margaret. As president and co-founder of Hispanic American Freethinkers, also known as HAFRE, I welcome you to the 2023 Dia de los Muertos Secular event. HAFRE is a national not-for-profit organization established more than a decade ago to serve the 63 million Hispanics that call the United States home. With so many good secular and skeptical organizations in the US, why, may you ask, there's a need for a Hispanic freethinkers group? Well, simply because religion and superstition are amalgamated and fully integrated into our Hispanic cultures to such an extent that to question religion or superstitions is to question our cultures, our people, our families, and ourselves. HAFRE aims to advance the culture of Latinos in the US through science, reason, through education and curiosity, and through secular humanism, as well as the separation of the real from the imaginary, to promote a common good for all. HAFRE works together with all the other secular groups as we share many common goals, such as promoting the separation of church and government, educating people to be critical thinkers, teaching to question all dogmas and supernatural claims, and above all, HAFRE strongly supports absolute freedom of conscience for all people. The Dia de los Muertos Secular event is an example of how we should take a pagan holiday that was appropriated by Christians and return it to what it was, a day to celebrate life and to face death with defiance. And that's why Hispanic American Freethinkers is proud to sponsor this great event. Thank you for joining this very special celebration. Now, let's hear from the other sponsors.
Hello, I'm Dan Barker. I'm co-president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation. And we are very proud to be co-sponsors of the Secular Day of the Dead. Estamos muy orgullosos ser copatrocinadores del Día Secular de los Muertos. We freethinkers, nosotros los librepensadores, we don't believe in life after death. We believe in life before death. And we do think, however, that in a very natural, secular way, we do live on beyond our own lives, but not in some spooky world somewhere with ghosts and eternal life, but in the minds of those who are still alive and in the lingering effects of any of the deeds that we have done in our lives. So those who have died that we love and honor, we can help them live on in a secular way by remembering them in our own minds. And that's what the Secular Day of the Dead is all about. So let's celebrate. Vamos a celebrar y honrar los que ya han muerto para mantener sus memorias en nuestras mentes, en nuestras vidas.
Hola a todos. Hello, everyone. I'm Nana Unkwe, Communications Associate with the Secular Coalition for America. I'm so excited to celebrate the International 2023 Secular Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, with you all. The Secular Coalition for America is a lobbying organization based right here in Washington, D.C. We are dedicated to advocating for the equal rights of non-religious Americans, and we do so here in America's capital to make sure the voices of the non-religious are heard. The separation of church and state is vital for any society to thrive, and the Secular Coalition for America works hard to make sure that separation is upheld. Dia de los Muertos is a beautiful celebration of community, diversity, and remembrance. It's a time when we can come together to honor and celebrate the lives of those who came before us. A few months ago, Woody Kaplan, one of the founding members of the Secular Coalition for America, died. Woody was an incredibly passionate person, a tremendous force in the secular community, and he worked hard to make sure the rights of atheists, agnostics, humanists, and non-believers were valued. On the Secular Day of the Dead, let's remember the rich legacies and beliefs of those who have died this year and in years past. By working together and building community, we can help achieve their dreams and make the world a better place for us all. The Secular Coalition for America is proud to co-sponsor the Secular Dia de los Muertos event because it reminds us that our secular values are not just about government and policy, but are a part of our everyday lives. Our community's commitment to secularism is deeply intertwined with our commitment to freedom, unity, and diversity. Thank you, and Feliz Dia de los Muertos.
Hello, I'm Mandisa Thomas, founder and president of Black Nonbelievers, and we are very, very proud to be co-sponsors of the 2023 Secular Dia de los Muertos, also known as the Secular Day of the Dead. Black Nonbelievers is a 501c3 nonprofit organization headquartered in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and we provide community support and building for Blacks who are non-religious as well as allies. We recognize the importance of honoring our members who have passed on and the legacies that they have built. And we are also dedicated to redefining what it means to have ceremonies and celebrations for those who have passed on. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to get together with our fellow secular organizations and with you to mark this very important occasion. We are very, very proud to be a part of this.
Hi, I'm Robin Blumner, President and CEO of the Center for Inquiry, and I'd like to thank Margaret Downey for organizing today's events. The Center for Inquiry defends the Enlightenment's values of reason, science, and secularism. We promote the separation of church and state, the rights of atheists here and around the world, and the end of pseudoscience wherever it arises. And we've been doing it since the 1970s, when luminaries like Carl Sagan, Isaac Asimov, B.F. Skinner, Paul Kurtz, and James the Amazing Randi came together to tell society to stop being so credulous and to hold truth claims up to accountability and the facts. At CFI, we take Carl Sagan's exhortation seriously, which is that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. We hold religion up to that test, and it fails. We hold medical quacks and science deniers and anti-vaxxers and self-proclaimed psychics up to that test, and they fail as well. We fight for the truth because the tools of getting to the truth, evidence, reason, logic, the scientific method, are also the best way to build a society where people dispel the delusions and the dogmas they were born into. And it's also the best way to build a society that promotes human progress and human freedom. CFI has dozens of employees and hundreds of volunteers who represent your values, the values of the Enlightenment. So go to the centerforinquiry.org, that's centerforinquiry.org, learn a little more about us, and if you're not already a member, please consider joining us. Thank you.
A big thank you to all of our co-sponsors. We urge audience members to explore the organizations that are supporting tonight's event. A link to each organization will appear in the chat, and we hope one of them will offer a philosophical home you may be seeking. It's now my extreme honor to introduce actor John Huertas, who will be delivering the opening remarks. You may recognize him as the character Miguel Rivas on NBC's critically acclaimed award-winning series, This Is Us. Or you may recognize him as the tough yet affable Detective Javier Esposito on ABC's hit dramedy, Castle. And John is very proud of his performance as Sergeant Tony Polk Espera in HBO's miniseries, Generation Kill. Being a veteran himself, John says that his Generation Kill character was the most meaningful role of his career. Currently, John has several TV, podcast, and film projects in various states of development. Welcome, John Huertas.
Thank you, Margaret, and hello, everyone. You know what I love about this celebration? It creates the community that secular humans, atheists, and other non-believers need. That is the one thing that I find myself envious of when it comes to organized religion. The only thing. For I hope we all know that religion, or primitive, unproven, prehistoric science, as I like to call it, is the starting point of fear, which allows manipulators in our societies to control large swaths of people and create a collective consciousness that can be used to oppress, enslave, kill, and take from others, usually the marginalized. Now, if you're like me, you have chosen to live a life without sin. Not because you choose to not break the rules of the commandments, but because I don't have the time or the motivation to believe in the concept of sin, especially the ridiculous concept that I'm somehow born with it. I also don't believe in hell, so the concept of being afraid all the time escapes me. I so wish that we could somehow unindoctrinate the religious. Religion turns humans against one another. It makes them neurotic, psychotic, and dangerous. In fact, I believe it might even teach us to hate ourselves. At least that's what Catholicism did for me. Then if you hate yourself, then you are primed to hate others, hence the opposite of humanism. I love humans. I believe that we are capable of so much more than we are taught to believe. I believe that the deceased loved ones we are here to honor today, well, at least I hope that in the end, when they die, they didn't care about a promised afterlife with the invisible imaginary creator, or that at least they quickly found out, if consciousness somehow continues after we die, that none of that freaking dogma that most of us were indoctrinated with when our tiny little brains were still forming in our tiny little skulls. I hope they found out that it meant nothing at all. Today we are here to honor their memory, not the idea that their spirits are living on in some really cool afterworld like the movie Coco painted for us, although that was a great fucking movie. Today I am glad to join you all as a community of secular humanists and atheists and non-believers, and I hope that we can create more celebrations just like this one, celebrations surrounding the other holidays, so that we can keep building our community, one that can counter the religious community. So on this Day of the Dead, 2023, remember to go out there and live unburdened by faith. And you live your life spontaneously and with joy and with the hope that we as humans determine our own destiny and we can all take responsibility for the good and especially the bad that we do. Now, please enjoy your Día Secular de los Muertos, and I'll see you next time.
Wow. That was wonderful. Thank you, John. We're pleased to acknowledge Hector A as the video director. He's working hard behind the scenes, making sure to play all the videos that we have received in order. It's really a hard job, a very difficult job. You will see Hector during the honoring ceremony and social hour. At this time, we want to point out that by joining this event, you have automatically given your permission to be recorded. We also ask that all participants be respectful, practice common sense courtesies, and abide by the non-discrimination and non-harassment policies that are found at the Free Thought Society website. All participants, except for the presenters, are currently muted to ensure the best audio quality for everyone. But there will be opportunities to interact and speak during the honoring ceremony and social hour.
So for the best viewing of this event, we recommend that you use the speaker view option for Zoom. I mention this because it's now time to present our keynote speaker, Dr. Hector Garcia. Dr. Garcia is the author of Alpha God, The Psychology of Religious Violence and Oppression, and the book, Sex, Power, and Partisanship. His speech is entitled Día de los Muertos, What It Means to Be Mortal.
What are we? Let me begin by saying on this Día de Muertos que yo soy Hector Garcia. I am Hector. I am a father. I am a son. I am an author. I'm a psychologist, a professor. I am from the border. And I am mestizo, Spanish, and Native. My mother's family comes from the Barranca de Cobre, Copper Canyon in Chihuahua, Mexico, and some were Native people who called themselves Raramuri, the running people. And on the other side were conquistadores who rode into El Paso del Norte, the pass between two mountain ranges, led by Juan de Oñate. It was a mission of religious conquest. The two sides met, they clashed, they reassembled, and eventually they became one. And on this day, I think of my ancestors who co-created through their mestizaje this Dia de Muertos. But what are we? What a question faced by humanity. We have attempted to answer this question with so many myths, with arrogance, with self-deception. The lenses through which we choose to see ourselves as human beings. But in my own attempt to answer this question, however limited that may be, I have tried to be as truthful as I know how. And the lenses that I use are a combination of my mestizaje, the wisdom of my indigenous ancestors who had not forgotten that they are from the earth, and the evolutionary sciences that the Europeans brought over with them to the Americas. One of the phrases that my native relatives like to say is, all my relations, meaning that everything is interrelated. Us, the animals, the water, the sun, the earth. And I think that this concept is no better captured than by Native American activist and poet John Trudell. Writes Trudell, it's about our D&A, descendants and ancestors. We are the descendants and we are the ancestors. D&A, our DNA, our blood, our flesh, and our bone is made up of the metals and the minerals and the liquids of the earth. We are the earth. We truly, literally and figuratively, are the earth. All of this is true. Science shows us that we indeed are the earth. We are made of its metals and its minerals and its liquids. And we are also sun energy. Sun energy is what sustains our organizational integrity. It keeps us in this current configuration of earth while we are still alive. So we are those things. What else are we? Well, in a way, we humans are nothing special. Like other animals, we go through similar cycles of birth, growth, maturity, decline, and eventual death. But in many ways, we are also extraordinary. For one, we have self-awareness like no other creature. We know that we exist. And we are also mental time travelers. Through our memories, we can project ourselves deeply into our past and through our foresight deeply into the future, unlike any other creature that has ever lived. And with these abilities have come many survival advantages. But with these abilities have also come abject existential terror. Because we're saddled with a gnawing understanding that this magnificent self, whatever it really is, will one day cease to exist. That this form will go back into the earth where it came from and disappear forever. And this has been one of the most profound struggles of humankind. Some of us have coped with this terror by telling ourselves that, in fact, we are never going to die, that we're going to live on in some other place with our loved ones who we cherish so deeply after they breathe their last breath and after we breathe ours. And I can understand this impulse. Truly, I can, and I can sympathize to my core. I get it. But there are others who have turned fiercely and unflinchingly to stare into the void. And with that fearful turn comes liberation, when we know deep down inside that we are now being honest with ourselves about what we are. The myths, we retain them in the age of science out of fear. To discard them is to be fearless and to be honest with ourselves. And this is what Dia de Muertos represents to me, being honest. You know, in modern culture, when our relatives die, we put makeup on them to give them the appearance of life. We inject them with chemicals to preserve them. We put them in boxes to prevent them from becoming earth once again. And just like our myths, this too is a form of denial. But on this Day of the Dead, we are honest. We depict our loved ones in the indigenous way, as skulls and as skeletons, which is what we will become. And we give our children candied skulls with the names of their relatives to take them in, to remember, to celebrate, and to play, so that they might not come to fear this natural process of death, which is just as natural as being born. And even though for many who celebrate this day is mixed with religious beliefs that I personally don't subscribe to, that's okay. The fact remains that we humans need our rituals to provide structure. We need them to help guide us through this wondrous temporary existence, this mix of trauma and beauty and heartbreak and inspiration that we awaken to as sentient human beings. And we can adapt existing rituals to serve that purpose. So you don't have to be religious, nor do you have to be so-called Latino. You can make this day your own. So, on this Dia de Muertos, we remember our ancestors, to whom we owe everything, for their struggles and their triumphs, for the sacrifices that they made so that we may have a moment to experience being alive. We would not be here if it were not for them. And there are many who say that on this day our ancestors are actually with us. And in a way, through our evolutionary psychology, which we inherited from them, this is true. They are with us. Let me explain with a reading from my first book, Alpha God. We are not quite what we seem. We are not beings anchored in time as we imagine ourselves to be. We are a part of a continuous flow through rivers of space and time. Vast streams of ancestors and of the genes flowing within them. Each of us, but one moment in the current. Science reveals to us a picture in which our bodies and brains are shaped by our genetic programming. Our sense of self is a product of our brain's activities, and our brains are built incrementally upon not only by our own experiences, but also the culmination of all of the brains that have thought before us. As a result, we see through the eyes of our ancestors. Each of us does things, loves things, abhors things, thinks things, and aspires to things as amalgams of all the life that has preceded our own existence, stretching our very experience of being across the generations. So this is how I answer what we are. Truly, we have our ancestors with us. We embody them. And this is what I think about when I celebrate this Dia de Muertos. So now I want to share something very special with my blood relatives, the Rivera family, and with all of you. It is a death poem. Death poems are a tradition in which one writes about one's own death. The Japanese have a very rich tradition of haiku death poetry, which I absolutely love because the poems show us a means to encapsulate our own mortality in grace and expressions of beauty. But this one is from our grandmother, Lilia Alvarez de Rivera, published in a small book on November 2nd, 1930, on Dia de Muertos. You know, I never met my grandmother. She died in a car crash when my mother was 6 months pregnant with me. But I feel like I talk to her spirit when I read this poem that she wrote about her own mortality for all of us to contemplate. Entre ella, las bellas, bella, y entre las buenas, virtuosa. Se enamoró de una estrella y allá voló presurosa. She was the beauty of beauties, and among the good, she was virtuous. She fell in love with the star, and there she rapidly flew. Indeed she did. To all my relations, Feliz Dia de Muertos.
Gracias, Hector. Now you can find Hector's book on Amazon or at your favorite bookstore. The books are also available in audio options, and we're going to put the links to his books in the chat. You met Memo Benumea earlier, but now he has a very special role in the program, that of an interviewer. And we are very proud to present Memo talking to Rolando Avila, the producer of the film Muertos Secular. In English, the film title is Love Till Death. We will put a link to the movie in the chat. Rolando has been a host of television programs such as Apa No Chitita, Hit M3, and Para Todos on TV Azteca. Welcome, Memo and Rolando.
Se dice que en la ofrenda todo debe ser nuevo, porque ellos vienen y se llevan las esencias y los sabores de todo lo que da. Comida real, fresca del día. Y se pone en diferentes etapas. Una ofrenda se pone el día 28 para los que fallecen en desgracia, el día 30 para los que mueren antes de nacer, el día 31 para los infantes y el día 2 para los adultos. Y se supone que antes de las 12 llegan a los hogares para disfrutar su banquete. Parte de la ofrenda también debe llevar una yate o una canasta, porque en ella se van a llevar todo lo que ustedes le están ofreciendo al difunto.
Dicen que la gastronomía mexicana es la mejor del mundo. Difícil contradecir esta teoría si aún después de la vida se sigue disfrutando de sus sabores, aunque sea en espíritu. El Día de Muertos va más allá de religiones y creencias. Es una tradición que ha traspasado generaciones. Cada año, la Noche de Muertos se pinta de colores y de luz. Los mexicanos le damos vida a la muerte. Alegres honramos a quienes se fueron y aunque la muerte es algo incierto, tenemos una pista de lo que nos espera en el más allá.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to this Day of the Dead celebration for 2023. Antes que nada, quiero darle la bienvenida a todos nuestros espectadores y gracias por unirse. Thank you for joining us again in this Day of the Dead. El día de hoy venimos de manteles largos. Permítame presentar a nuestro invitado. Es un director apasionado y creativo cuyo documental sobre el Día de los Muertos ha capturado la esencia de esta celebración en México. Entonces quiero darle la bienvenida a Rolando Ávila de la Parra.
Hey, what's up, guys? So glad to be here. Viva México, viva el Día de los Muertos. ¿Cómo estás, Memo? How you doing?
Muy bien, muy feliz de tenerte aquí, muy feliz de estar aquí otra vez en este 2 de noviembre. Y bueno, quisiera para empezar preguntarte, ¿qué te inspiró a ti crear un documental sobre el Día de los Muertos? ¿Y cómo abordaste la documentación de esta celebración cultural?
Bueno, mira, sinceramente al principio fue como negocio. Queríamos hacer algo que supiéramos que jalara, estaba de moda la película de Coco, de Disney, y pensamos, bueno, estaría bueno hacer algo del Día de los Muertos, que esté nosotros y que no mucha gente está haciendo algo. La primera idea fue así, literalmente, hacer un business, vamos a hacer un video que se pueda vender. ¿Qué vamos a hacer? Bueno, vamos a ir a todos los lugares de México donde se celebre de forma distinta para ver, porque México es muy grande, ¿no? Para ver las distintas formas de celebrar. Buena idea. Pero como historia, ¿qué vamos a contar? O sea, ver cosas que ya hemos visto, porque pues la verdad, muchos ya sabemos qué pasa o cómo se celebra el Día del Muerto, a lo mejor no en todo el país, pero sí en algunos lugares, ¿no? Y ahí fue donde nos dijimos, bueno, ¿cómo vamos a contar esta historia? ¿Qué es lo más importante del Día de Muertos en realidad? Son la decoración, los maquillajes, los bailes, ¿qué es? Y dimos con la clave, ¿no? O sea, la clave es que el mexicano siente que es verdad que los muertos vienen a visitarte, pero para que esto ocurra los tienes que recordar. Entonces, mientras tú recuerdas a tus muertos, estos no mueren por completo, al menos no desaparecen, ¿no? Y ahí sentimos, y hablo en plural porque fuimos 2 socios más, que ahí estaba la historia que había que contar. Cómo nosotros los mexicanos realmente nos sentimos en esa fecha y que es dolorosa, porque sí, se ve una fiesta y sí decimos que no, la muerte, no pasa nada, pero la neta, es que extrañamos mucho a nuestra gente, ¿no? Y por eso, aunque hicimos el plan de ir a todas las ciudades importantes en esta celebración, pues sí nos enfocamos más a las historias que podría contar las personas individualmente, ¿no?
No, es fascinante. Y esto es algo que tocas algo interesante porque es muy difícil hablar de los muertos, por ejemplo, aquí como tú dices, realmente, si realmente la gente cree que vienen a visitarnos, pues es muy difícil desde una perspectiva secular, desde una perspectiva atea, el no sentirse un poco contradecido, un poco en conflicto, porque pues por un lado estás queriendo decir, ay, sí, qué chido, o sea, nos vienen a visitar y estamos teniendo la esencia de ellos y ponemos el altar y todo eso, y por otro lado tu cerebro racional te dice, pero pues no vienen, o sea, eso es lo que me gustaría saber, ¿cómo manejaste los aspectos del Día de los Muertos desde tu perspectiva atea?
Bueno, cuando eres escritor tienes que ser empático con tus personajes, y aquí aunque todos ellos contaban una historia que yo no escribí, porque por supuesto es una historia que vivieron ellos y que les duele y les pesa mucho o les gusta mucho, al final del día todo este trabajo era para un documental que sí tenía que de alguna manera ser dirigido, ¿no? Entonces, en ese sentido tienes que empatar con lo que ellos sienten y respetarlo y es más, entenderlo. ¿Qué sentiría yo si creyera lo mismo, no? ¿Cómo viviría la experiencia? No es cualquier cosita, es como, vamos, cuando tú vas a una casa vacía y no crees en fantasmas como nosotros que no creemos en eso, pues entramos y listo, ¿no? Pero si te pones en el lugar de alguien que sí cree, qué horrible situación, ¿no? O sea, de verdad no me explico ese miedo, o sea, no lo puedo entender y me parece que tratar de entenderlo es divertido, pues, es entretenido, pues es estudiar algo maravilloso, ¿no? Esto no es lo mismo, evidentemente, aunque un poco sí, porque estamos hablando de fantasmas o de muertos. Es curioso, ¿no? Porque ellos a estos no les tienen miedo, ¿no? Muchas cosas de la fe no tienen el raciocinio que uno tendría, pero insisto, una vez más, pues es muy divertido y es muy entretenido, pero es muy enriquecedor y creo que esa es la clave, ¿no? No nada más juzgarlo, sino decir, a ver, vamos a ver qué se siente, ¿no? Y bueno, pues eso de alguna manera puede ser como para ellos una catarsis, una ayuda psicológica, o sea, es una forma de lidiar con la pérdida, ¿no? Con el duelo, con el dolor. Y en ese sentido, bueno, pues creo que de ninguna manera puse primero mis creencias sobre la de ellos, nunca, ¿no? O sea, estamos hablando de ti. Es más, yo ni salgo en el documental. Digo, y lo digo porque yo estoy acostumbrado a ser siempre detrás frente a cuadro, ¿no? Y aquí yo no salgo, yo no tengo nada que ver, yo te estoy grabando y estamos viendo qué sientes y vamos a llegar hasta donde tú quieras en todos sentidos, ¿no? Entonces creo que esa fue como la clave.
Porque incluso en un momento vas con las personas estas de Chiapas, de dónde son, donde hacen
¿Pomuch?
huesos, sí, o es Oaxaca.
Pomuch, Campeche, está en Campeche.
Tuviste que ser empático para, de alguna manera yo siento que estar ahí, estar viendo restos humanos como tal y que los están manipulando y todo, yo pienso que algunas personas no tendrían el estómago particularmente como lo decíamos acá en Estados Unidos, yo siento que había personas que ya estarían vomitando nada más de pensar que la gente agarra los restos de sus familiares y los limpia y los agarra y se pone a caminar con ellos y todo eso. Pero siendo empático, como tú lo dices, entiendes que lo están haciendo de amor, no lo están haciendo ni de morbo, ni de ritual mágico, sino es una manera de sentir,
Sí.
expresar el amor por ellos, ¿no?
O sea, no es algo macabro, pero, o sea, vamos a verlo desde nuestra perspectiva. No es fácil agarrar los restos humanos de alguien, quien sea, ¿no? Pero aparte es de tu tío, güey, o sea, siente a la que aprecias. Y ahí ya están limpiecitos, o sea, sí los dejan a que se descompongan un rato, ¿eh? No es como que luego al año siguiente lo sacan. Pero aún así, las primeras veces, pero como tú ya lo acabas de decir, lo hacen con amor, lo hacen con estas creencias, que vuelvo a lo mismo, yo jamás en todo momento, nunca dije, ay, no, tú dime qué onda aquí. Y si lo piensas bien, me parece que tiene mucho sentido, o sea, si todo el país estamos diciendo, vienen nuestros muertos, esos no se andan con jaladas. O sea, esos sí sacan a sus muertos a estar con ellos. Entonces, quizá los más coherentes del país son ellos, ¿no? Y ahí es donde ya no los puedes juzgar. Es como, a ver, pues sí es cierto, a ver, ¿hasta dónde llega? ¿Cuál es el límite, no? Si ya estamos diciendo que traemos a nuestros parientes, pues estos sí ponen el ejemplo, ¿no? Y cuando lo ves así, pues está bonito.
Pues sí, exactamente, exactamente, eso no lo creen a medias, o sea, lo creen al 100%, porque ¿por qué vas a tenerle miedo a los restos de alguien que tú estás diciendo que viene a visitarte y que te está cuidando, ¿no? Oye, has mencionado que este proyecto te permitió explorar temas relacionados con la muerte. No sé si hay alguna experiencia tuya que te haya desafiado cuando estás haciendo este documental o te haya representado algún reto.
Pero sí fue muy duro ver, por ejemplo, lo del niño que se murió. Los niños siempre que son temas de niños me puede mucho. La señora que perdió a su bebé, esa historia me conmovió mucho. Y por supuesto la del Mastuerzo, ¿no? No como la del niño, que la verdad la del niño me dolió mucho, pero la del Mastuerzo pues sí conmueve por ser quienes son, dónde estaban, cómo pasó, y sobre todo te pone la piel chinita, te eriza cuando escuchas la canción que le canta el Mastuerzo, que además le compuso muchos años antes de que tomara la decisión de quitarse la vida, ¿no? El cucurru cucú. al final del día ese es un recordatorio de que todos nos vamos a morir, entonces hay que disfrutar mientras andamos por estos rumbos.
Rolando, I would like to ask you for our audience in English or American audience, do you think that there is something in the Day of the Dead celebrations that can be helpful for them, whether it's in mourning or thinking about death or thinking about their loved ones?
Sure. Hello, American friends. The easiest way to celebrate this day, you put the altar. It's easy. You just put some boxes and orange paper. Grab some photograph of your loved ones. That's the important thing. When you put that picture in there with their favorite food, their favorite stuff, I don't know, their favorite drinks, if they like video games, put the video game in the box. If they like football, the jersey or the football. It's very easy to do that. But when you do it, it actually feels like some peace, your soul is like you rest, descansas el alma, pues, you feel all right. And you spend 2-3 days because you celebrate Halloween. Once Halloween finish, you put that in your house and everything changes because we celebrate Halloween big time here, witches, monsters, Michael Myers, etc. In November the 1st, everything changes and the mood is different. You can feel that. You know that the dead ones maybe wasn't come to your house, but there is something that you feel that you actually feel good about it. Man, I'm thinking about you. I think about good times with my grandma, my uncle, my auntie, I don't know. And goodbye, and everything. Life continues, right? But I think it's special to dedicate 3 days, 2 days to your loved ones. It's easy. The season is the correct season. You find a reason to do that, and in the end, you feel you really feel okay. So I recommend that as something fun, but at the same time, it's something good for you, for your soul, for your life, for your feelings, for your sadness, for your loneliness. Because it's all right to meet somebody that is not here. And we don't take the time to really think about this person. Because in the end, you think about death. When November 3rd, you continue your life knowing that death is close. It's not like, we don't know when. No, it's near. So you live your life to the fullest. And that's the greatest about this celebration.
Will you recommend that they travel over Mexico to live the Day of the Dead in Mexico? Or will you recommend that we take the Day of the Dead to the United States?
The celebration, it's so big right now. If you went to Mexico, it's a lot of people from every country. So it's nice, but the truth, I mean, I rather recommend it. You take this to your house. It's not cultural appropriation. This is for everyone. If you meet somebody in your family, come on, do it. It's nice. It's healthy. It's rich. You're gonna feel good.
Rolando, ¿algo más que quieras agregar?
I'm so glad to be here. Te agradezco mucho, Memo, de verdad. Compartir nuestra cultura con toda la gente de Estados Unidos me llena mucho de alegría, de orgullo y también entender esta fiesta tan grande que es The Day of the Dead. Entonces, pues nada, agradecimiento total. Ojalá vean el documental, ojalá vean los otros videos que hago ahí en YouTube y con todo gusto estaré en contacto ahí contestándole sus comentarios a través de YouTube.
Bueno, pues muchas gracias otra vez, Rolando. Cuídate mucho, te mandamos un abrazo y aquí nos estamos viendo.
Va, abrazo, saludos a todos. Besos para sus chiquillos. Que les explique Memo qué significa eso, por favor. No te rías, en serio. Es el folclore, Mexican folklore. Es mi despedida, trademark.
Muchas gracias, Memo. Muy bien, muy bien. Gracias, Memo. It's just a wonderful interview. And we thank Rolando for taking the time out of his busy schedule to help us celebrate the 2023 Dia de los Muertos Secular event. Now we're very pleased to introduce Martín Bonfil. Martín is the author of several books and numerous articles on scientific outreach, and he regularly contributes to magazines, newspapers, various radio shows and TV programs with science segments. For 15 years, he wrote the weekly column La Ciencia por Gusto, the science for good taste. Science for pleasure, I guess that's a better translation. Currently, he contributes with a weekly video column on science in the digital platform Agenda MX. So welcome, Martín.
Hola, soy Martín Bonfil Olivera, químico y divulgador científico. Trabajo en la Universidad Nacional Autónoma de México. Hablar de una tradición mexicana como el Día de Muertos desde un punto de vista basado en ciencia y además ateo, ajeno a la creencia en dioses y entidades sobrenaturales, también yo le llamaría un punto de vista naturalista, puede ser complejo. Pero voy a comenzar diciendo algo no relacionado con el Día de Muertos. Yo soy un gran fan de la música barroca y, por supuesto, del máximo exponente de la música barroca, Johann Sebastian Bach. Y mucha de la música de Bach, sobre todo su música vocal, y en particular su obra maestra, su obra cumbre, la Misa en Si menor, no puede ser entendida, no se puede apreciar en toda su profundidad y belleza si uno no toma en cuenta que se trata precisamente de una misa cristiana, y por lo tanto una expresión de la religión, del asombro y del amor hacia Dios y hacia la religión. ¿Puede un ateo disfrutar de la música de Bach? ¿Puede un ateo disfrutar de la misa en si menor? Por supuesto que sí. Quizá un ateo que sea absolutamente ignorante acerca de la religión católica va a apreciar con menos profundidad la belleza de la música y de las letras y sus diversos significados, porque tienen varios niveles de significado. Un ateo que se tome la molestia de leer y de informarse acerca de esa religión cristiana con el objetivo de entender mejor la misa de Bach, la va a entender con mucha mayor profundidad, pero sin necesidad de convertirse en creyente. Bueno, creo que lo mismo pasa con las tradiciones religiosas que forman parte del folclore, de la tradición de muchos pueblos. En particular, México es un país muy diverso, pero que en su gran diversidad de culturas precolombinas, de tradiciones y de creencias, incluso místicas, tiene algo en común, que fue un país conquistado por el Reino de España y un país en el que se impuso la religión católica, pues en parte por la fuerza, pero también a través de un proceso de fusión, de síntesis, algunos le llaman imposición, en que las creencias de la Iglesia Católica se trataron de hacer compatibles con las creencias de las religiones precolombinas anteriores a la conquista, y eso dio lugar a fusiones muy interesantes, como por ejemplo nuestra Virgen de Guadalupe, que es la patrona de nuestro país y de Latinoamérica. Al mismo tiempo recupera muchos elementos de una de las diosas de la nación azteca, y esta fusión entre dioses aztecas o de otros pueblos indígenas y santos o vírgenes católicas es algo que se presenta mucho en las tradiciones mexicanas. El Día de Muertos también es una mezcla de culturas en que el Día de Todos los Santos y de los santos pequeños y los santos grandes que se celebran el 1 y el 2 de noviembre, se mezclan con otras tradiciones precolombinas, incluso en la tradición de poner altares con ciertos elementos como los incensarios, las flores de cempasúchil, estas flores anaranjadas que en México se relacionan con el más allá y con el Día de los Muertos en particular, porque es cuando florecen en México estas flores, componer la comida que les gustaba a nuestros seres queridos que han fallecido y con la creencia de que sus almas regresan a degustar estas viandas, estos alimentos, estas bebidas, incluso se les ponen cigarros y se ponen otros elementos como el pan, la sal, el agua, el copal para aromatizar, etcétera. Y las diferentes regiones tienen también sus diferentes variantes porque algunas ponen tamales, ponen frutas y otros elementos. Se necesita ser creyente en el más allá, en una deidad, en el catolicismo y en particular en el regreso de las almas del más allá para ver la ofrenda que ponemos, para recordarlos, para poder celebrar el Día de Muertos y disfrutarlo. Yo creo que no. Yo creo que así como todos los mexicanos vivimos en una nación que tiene una cultura católica, no quiere decir que todos seamos católicos, aunque sigue habiendo un 80% de católicos en México, por lo menos católicos declarados, no quiere decir que sean practicantes. Esto no quiere decir que uno no pueda poner un altar de muertos aún siendo ateo. Cuando uno vive la pérdida que implica perder a seres queridos, yo he perdido ya a mis dos progenitores, a mi madre hace 11 años, a mi padre el año pasado, y he perdido ya a varios amigos queridos y parientes. Uno sabe que esa pena se puede procesar de manera racional, pero finalmente se trata de una emoción y una emoción no se puede procesar solamente de manera racional. Y justamente los rituales, las tradiciones, nos ayudan a procesar esas emociones y convertirlas en algo más manejable. El Día de Muertos en México, los altares, las ceremonias, las visitas al panteón, que también son muy tradicionales, ayudan a procesar la pena, a dialogar de alguna manera con esos seres que ya no están, aunque uno sepa que en realidad no está dialogando con nadie, pero uno sí se puede encontrar hablándole a esas personas que ya no están vivas, que tampoco creemos como personas con una visión naturalista del mundo que estén en un más allá, pero que siguen estando aquí adentro, como dice Daniel Dennett y Douglas Hofstadter, uno sigue teniendo representaciones de esas personas queridas en su propio cerebro, como las tiene uno cuando están vivas, pero cuando dejan de estar allí, las seguimos teniendo aquí y podemos seguir dialogando con ellas. Y yo creo que el Día de Muertos, la tradición mexicana, puede ser una ocasión para intensificar ese diálogo, para recordarlas con más cariño y para homenajearlas. No necesita uno tener una creencia metafísica, una creencia sobrenatural, una creencia religiosa, y sí puede uno recuperar y no rechazar esas bonitas tradiciones que unen a las familias, que forman parte de nuestra cultura mexicana, tanto de los mexicanos que vivimos en México como también de los mexicanos que emigran y siguen cuidando esas tradiciones. Así que yo no veo ninguna contradicción y al contrario me parecería triste y tonto dejar de celebrar la Navidad, dejar de celebrar el Día de Muertos solo porque uno es ateo. Ojalá que ustedes lo vean también así y ojalá que se animen a poner, aunque sea un pequeñito altar de muertos, en recuerdo a sus seres queridos. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias, Martín. That was an awesome video. Very insightful. Again, thank you. The next presentation is close to my heart because my daughter Andy Benumea and her friend Sevi Hernandez created something very unique and artistic to share with you today. We think you will be amazed and delighted to see what they created to recognize and celebrate the 2023 Día de los Muertos Secular event. Their presentation is entitled Love Traditions, Tradiciones de Amor. They took 2,500 pictures in order to get this stop motion created. I hope you like it.
My goodness, that was so fantastic. I'm really looking forward to sharing that with my children when this event is posted online. Which reminds me, we can watch out for an announcement of the link to this event when the edited recording is available on the Free Thought Society's YouTube channel and on the YouTube channels of all the co-sponsors. Once again, muchas gracias for that lovely video, Sevi and Andy. We are now pleased to present Abraham Lopez Lafuente. Abraham has been involved in musical events since college. He has participated in tributes and several music events, and has directed multiple shows at Guanajuato's Juarez Theater and the Cervantes Theater, with up to 20 musicians on stage. Today, he is performing solo, just for us. It is his version of La Llorona. Welcome, Abraham.
Hola, mi nombre es Abraham López Lafuente, les saludo desde León, Guanajuato, México. Y la siguiente canción que voy a interpretarles lleva como título La Llorona, que es un ícono en nuestra cultura en el Día de Muertos. Y es narrada por una gran banda llamada Caifanes, que habla un poquito del amor y el desamor, la vida y la muerte. Espero les guste. Desde el fondo de la tierra, fantasmas y humanos se buscan. Algunos olvidan fríos, otros nunca se encuentran. Hacen temblar la vida, tiemblan sueños, tiembla el amor. mecer tu piel. Ah, déjame ver tu piel. Déjame ayudarte. Nada más si me como y así será. Y así será. Desde el fondo de la tierra, más allá de la existencia, flotan almas solas, todas crucificadas. Hombres y mujeres lloran por un amor que nunca tuvieron. Ay, no quiero amarte, llorona. Ay, no quiero llorar contigo. Ah, déjame ver tu piel. Déjame ser tu piel, déjame ayudarte, nada más si me como y así será, y así será. Gracias, hasta luego.
Gracias, Abram. We feel very fortunate to have hosted you as a guest today. I now have the honor of introducing a very unique and entertaining portion of the program, Talking Skeletons. Well, they don't really talk, but the animatronics engineer, Daniel Zabeta, does. Welcome, Daniel. Skeleton number 1, named Buster, and skeleton number 2, also named Buster.
Quite a turnout at this 2023 Secular Day of the Dead, isn't it?
A living guest in our humble celebration.
Welcome, Daniel. Join us in contemplating life, death, and everything in between. Interesting topic for a conversation, especially for two individuals who are well acquainted with the afterlife.
You'll find no one is better than us for this conversation because we have, well, nobody.
We are just discussing how fascinating it is to see how different cultures approach death and remembrance.
You know, funny how some people believe in an afterlife while others think it is it. Lights out, end of the line, dead end. Quite literally.
The age-old debate between belief and skepticism.
In this corner, the contender who seeks answers in the tangible and the provable, the atheist. And in the opposing corner, the champions of the unseen and the divine. Put your hands together for the faithful.
Interestingly, some find comfort in the idea of the afterlife, a continuation of consciousness, while others find solace in the idea that death is simply the end. Well, I've always leaned towards the atheist point of view, personally. To me, it seems more logical to live this life to the fullest because it might be the only shot we've got.
Agree. The concept of an afterlife can sometimes make people complacent about the present. But then again, the belief in an afterlife can provide hope and ease for the fear of the unknown.
Some find solace in the possibility of an afterlife, while others see the beauty in cherishing the present. So, is there a cosmic VIP section for atheists? Or are we all in this together, regardless of our beliefs?
Well, no VIP lounges in the afterlife, I'm afraid. We all go to the same place, no matter if you're a faithful believer or a blasphemous atheist. On the other hand, the cemetery is pretty nice, and it is a coveted place.
Is it?
Yeah. People are dying to get in there.
Stop with the puns. You know, it's ironic how people often fear the death, yet many also believe it's a blissful existence beyond it.
You make a fair point. It's a complicated dance between hope, fear, and rationality. Some argue that atheists are missing out on the comfort that faith can bring.
And some might say that religious belief can hinder progress by holding on to ancient myth, tradition, and dogmas. Touché! It's all about perspective, isn't it? But regardless of our beliefs, here we are, surrounded by the symbols of mortality and the legacy of those who once lived. A reminder that life is fleeting, yet our actions and memories can outlive us. We should strive to leave a positive impact on the world while we can. Absolutely! Our bones may return to the earth, but the memory of our actions will endure.
So, when a final candle burns out, what then? Darkness or something beyond?
The final mystery. What happens when the last flame fades? Maybe we become part of a universe in some other way. Energy merging with the cosmos. Or maybe it's simply the end of perception, like a dreamless sleep. We'll find out when our time comes.
Until then, let us continue to embrace the existence and celebrate the memories of those who come before us.
Who knew talking to a couple of skeletons would be so thought-provoking? The journey of the afterlife and death and often holds surprises beyond imagination. Live, love, and of course, eat. Those offerings won't eat themselves, are they?
Yeah! Let's eat. Bon appetit! Get it? Bon appetit?
That's it! One more pun and I'll punch you, you bonehead!
You can't. You ain't got the guts.
I'm done. Daniel, please help! I don't know. I don't have a bone to pick with him. In fact, I think he's quite humorous.
Oh, Mr. Gussie Wattle, just take me. Please, just take me.
Oh, boy.
Well, gracias, Daniel. Gracias, Buster 1 and Buster 2. I really don't know how they make those skeletons move. We're pleased to host for the second year in a row the very talented duo Salvador León Beltrain and Bonitsu Servin. They work together to highlight their singing, poetry, and photography talents. Please beware that this artistic presentation may not be suitable for children. There is some nudity and adult wording content, etc. So be mindful. And with that, I'd like to welcome Salvador and Bonitsu.
Me hundo en la penumbra y palpo a ciegas con mis manos la densa oscuridad. El deseo me ha arrojado a esta prisión donde busco con ansias el agua subterránea, los muslos de terciopelo enroscándose debajo de mi vientre. Mi nombre se corona en sus lentos labios. Su rostro enrojecido estalla de placer en un grito que rasga el aire doloroso. Su espalda es una escultura en el templo del vicio, donde solo transitan deseos innombrables. Sus senos son tan dulces que pueden poblar el llano más sediento. Su cuerpo, carnada mortal para mis labios, cadena perpetua de mis ojos. No hay escape en este desierto sin orillas. Ni siquiera mis sueños son capaces de escalar estos muros. Sus ojos son letales. Sus besos son veneno de veneno. Su mirada paraliza mi osadía como un océano que devora en el naufragio. Nuestro abrazo es la travesía de una espada. Su cabellera puebla de canela a mi cuerpo adormecido. Sus manos diminutas me acompañan al centro de la tierra. Al pie de nuestra cintura yace, siempre al acecho, un manantial de fuego. Soy rehén de sus deseos. Estoy condenado a vivir en cautiverio. Miro al firmamento y veo la luz. También los astros orbitan este delicioso infierno.
Thank you, Salvador and Bonisu. We are now going to offer those who want to participate in the live honoring ceremony the option to present in the Spanish breakout room or the English breakout room. Margaret and Victoria will be hosting the English breakout room. You can stay put for that. David and I will be hosting the Spanish breakout room. On the screen, we will show you the method of getting into the Spanish language room. The instructions are going to be set to music, and when the music ends, the rooms will be officially open. But we will also play another song so that you will have time to take a quick break, to refresh, get a drink, or prepare to honor a dead loved one.
have come to the interactive part of the ceremony to honor deceased loved ones, and all are welcome to participate, but be aware that the Zoom time slot will automatically cut in after about 5 minutes. And I want to say something personal. To me, grief is not an emotion to move away from. Grief is a reality that we must deal with and actually move forward. We seek not to forget those we love. Rather, we seek to find ways in which we can keep memories of them alive. In this honoring ceremony, we will pay respect to the lives of our dead loved ones and strive to lead a life that will honor the legacies we will be talking about today.
The Center for Inquiry, one of the 6 co-sponsors for this wonderful event, sent over a video to honor the life of their longtime employee, Ken Frazier. Hyder, let's watch the video.
One of the most popular paranormal subjects is astrology. One of PsyCop's first initiatives has been a campaign encouraging newspapers to run disclaimers above their daily horoscopes.
Kendrick Frazier is editor of PsyCop's journal, The Skeptical Inquirer.
And most editors do realize that astrology is not scientifically supported, it's not scientific, and they feel somewhat embarrassed about the columns. They know they're quite popular, however, and they're not in the job of taking out popular features. But many have relegated them to the comics pages or otherwise de-emphasize them rather than emphasizing them.
Hoax or not, Aztec celebrates with an annual symposium. Believers even memorialize the alleged crash site with a plaque.
What's the best thing you could say to the citizens of Aztec about their place in history?
I'd hope they could find something more interesting and significant and more real to tout for their historical place, and I'd say the same thing to the people in Roswell. I know people who've essentially wasted 10 to 15 years of their lives being caught up in the UFO subculture. It's sad when that happens. It's hard to get back out of. It's like a cult in some ways, or it can be. It's a waste, a human waste. So is this complex assemblage of vertically linked balloons and instruments and interesting box kite-like structures that we called radar reflectors made of balsa wood and foil to reflect radar signals so they could track it. There's nothing there scientifically. There's no evidence that has stood the test of time that has shown up and proven to be real.
I covered it. So as a journalist, I covered it for Science News and later wrote about it, the creation of this organization. And in fact, I have the cover of Science News magazine called Challenging Pseudoscience from that era in May 1976. Now, I was quite young back then. I was just a kid. Oh my God, that's a long time ago, isn't it? But that's how I got started. It was a mind-expanding conference, one of the most interesting ones I'd ever attended. And we went on from there, and I was asked to become editor of what is now the Skeptical Inquirer the very next year. And I just decided to leave Science News at that time for family reasons, to return to the West, and just was a perfect thing for me, and it's been perfect ever since. I'm very privileged to be editor of a magazine that deals with these issues and draws upon the expertise of scientists, scholars, and investigators all over the world and help bring them to fruition in print and in many other ways that the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry helps bring to the public.
Ken was very special indeed. On September 29th, 2023, California Congressman Jared Huffman rose to enter into the congressional record remarks to honor the life of Woody Kaplan. Here to read the entry is the executive director of the Secular Coalition, Stephen Emmerich.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today, along with my colleague, Representative Jamie Raskin, to honor the memory of Woody Kaplan, a civil rights champion, free thinker, and philanthropist who passed away at the age of 80 on August 3rd, 2023. Woody was a prince of a human and a trusted friend. It is impossible to fully capture how much he contributed to our nation and to furthering the secular movement. Woody's fierce advocacy for freedom of expression, church-state separation, reproductive freedom, racial justice, LGBTQ rights, and other causes spanned decades. A lifelong atheist who fought for every person's freedom of conscience, Woody co-founded the Secular Coalition for America, the largest coalition of national atheist, humanist, and secular organizations in the United States. Under Woody's leadership, the Secular Coalition for America went from representing 4 disparate national organizations to uniting 21 organizations in a formidable political movement. The Secular Coalition for America also established the first full-time lobbyist in Washington, D.C., representing atheists, humanists, and secular Americans. Woody also served admirably on leadership and advisory roles at organizations including the Defending Dissent Foundation, American Atheists, American Humanist Association, the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, and the Secular Student Alliance. As a former member of the ACLU's National Board of Directors, he helped establish the organization's endowment fund. As a young man, Woody traveled to Mississippi to work on voter registration drives. Woody is survived by his wife, Wendy Kaminer, an author and lawyer who shares Woody's passion and beliefs. His daughters, Abigail and Emily, 11 grandchildren, his sister Nancy Fishman and her husband Steve, and many other family members, friends, and admirers who he touched with his formidable life. Mr. Speaker, I respectfully ask that you join my colleagues and me in extending condolences to Woody's family and friends, and in expressing our collective appreciation for his decades of work for the public good.
That was such a wonderful tribute to Woody's life, and I'm sure his family is proud to know that his legacy is acknowledged in the congressional record. Thank you so much.
We're going to just open the honoring ceremony for those who want to honor a dead loved one. And the first person is Betsy from the Philadelphia Ethical Society. She reserved an honorary ceremony spot a few days ago. Betsy, please tell us about your wonderful husband.
Okay, this is, wow, I'm wowed by all these presentations. Yeah, and so beautifully presented. But Margaret was attracted to my object, And and we had a conversation about that. So that's how I got invited. Okay. This is a sculpture. I want to get back so people can see it. Okay, it's probably the only sculpture I have ever made, at least in my adult life. It's a paper mache placed over a mesh frame, and it was made using the head of my late partner and co-conspirator, Dale Drews, who was born in 1935 and died in 2010. The frame was made for use in Dale's radiation therapy. So for some reason, I picked it up at the end of that and said, I'll take this. And it sat around for a while. And I decided that I would paper mache over it and create a sculpture of Dale's head. And it doesn't show up too well here. Maybe if I move back, but actually it photographs pretty well, but it's not okay. Anyway, get the idea. Okay, this is a tangible memory of Dale and an inspiration for further creative development. It's a work in progress. Dale was a sociologist, an ethical culture leader, a social activist in the socialist, civil rights, and peace movements, a humanist, a free thinker, and a hitchhiker. We bonded in 1979 over his collection of little blue books that I spotted displayed on a ledge in his study. They were published beginning in the early 20th century by Haldeman Julius, a company of free thinking team of Emanuel Julius, a Jewish atheist socialist from Philadelphia, and Marcette Haldeman, who was Jane Addams' niece. Together, they published numerous pocket-sized books that introduced a wide variety of subjects, including those of free thinkers to working-class readers. Just a few of the titles from my collection. I have here How Man Made God, Proof of Primitive Atheism of the Race Theories and of the Origin of the Gods by Joseph McCabe, who was very prolific and wrote a whole lot of these. What God Cost Man, a record of what the gods did and did not do. And by Haldeman Julius himself, An Agnostic Looks at Life, Challenges of a Militant Pen. So, okay, Dale grew up in Kansas and early developed free-thinking tendencies acquired from his collection of little blue books from the Haldeman Julius son when the company went out of business in the early 1950s. Dale went on to study at the University of Chicago and then came to the District of Columbia to fulfill his conscientious objective service. Already a civil rights activist participating in early sit-ins, he joined a 1960 attempt to integrate Ginn Park, an amusement park located outside of Baltimore. During the protest, he was forcefully evicted from the park, a photo of which was captured by the AP and carried over their wire service to where it was viewed by his relatives in Los Angeles. Originally interested in becoming a Unitarian minister, he was persuaded by UU minister and ethical culture leader Ed Erickson to become an ethical culture leader instead. He served the Queen's Ethical Society for 6 years, resigning to take a teaching position at Glassboro State College while he finished his PhD in sociology. He subsequently taught sociology in a number of institutions in the Philadelphia and South Jersey area, including Temple, Westchester, and Rutgers. In 1994, Dale was diagnosed with a large benign meningioma brain tumor, the removal of which left him with some challenging disabilities. In 1998, Dale and I joined the Philadelphia Ethical Society, where Dale occasionally gave addresses. He died in 2010 after a series of illnesses. So I have a couple of objects here that I have a walking stick that he got in Mexico, where he used to hitchhike with his friends when he was in high school. And I have like sort of a memory box that I made of some of Dale's activities. I don't know if you can see it from here, but anyway, yeah. It has a picture of him being carried out of the park in Baltimore. That's one thing, and there's a I'm wearing a necklace that Dale gave me. This is one of the first ones that he gave me. It has like, you can see it has a lot of series of hearts on it. And I have a copy of the oh, here we go. Well, okay. He wrote a book for the ethical for the American Ethical Union on on a handbook for conscientious objectors. And I was going to show that, but I seem to have misplaced it. So anyway, okay, that's my presentation. And thank you very much, Margaret, for giving me the opportunity to reflect on this again, and to also to visit the Day of the Dead ceremony. So thank you very much.
It's not over yet.
I know.
Yeah. A few closing things, but thank you so much for sharing that. I am a Blue Book collector myself. So
you really? I have Dale. I inherited Dale's collections.
Well, we'll have to compare notes.
We'll have to compare notes. They're sort of fading. It's hard to kind of see them as blue books, but yeah. I mean, yeah, he kept them. I mean, and yeah. Well, as I said in the beginning, I saw them when I met him. You know, and I thought, oh, that's what that is. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Betsy. That was wonderful.
Okay.
I would like to share someone who I am honoring before I call on anyone else. Day of the Dead is not just for family members and friends and loved ones, it's also for loved ones of our pets. So this is Henry.
Oh.
This is my daughter's. She chose this frame and this photo to honor him for Day of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Ofrenda later, a little honoring table. He passed away last year, and we miss him very much. He was very much part of our family. And actually tonight we are going to, one of the traditions of Day of the Dead is, you know, to put food out for our loved ones. And my daughter chose to be putting out cheese sticks because that was his favorite treat. So as much as we hold our friends and our family in our hearts, we also include our pets on our honoring table.
Who would like to be next?
I see one hand up.
Yes, Laura, you are unmuted. You are unmuted, Laura.
Okay. I made this memory box for my parents. I don't know if you can see it. They were great card players. There they are. And so I made one for my brother and one for myself. And of course, they died. It's just a picture of my daughter. She was 50 when she died, 12 years ago. And I miss her. I do want to say she died of alcoholism, so it happens to people. Well, I'm pretty old, so I've lost a lot of friends too. Okay, next person.
Thank you so much. I want to talk about my Auntie Eladia and her husband, Uncle Jay. In 1954, my mother realized she needed help. She had moved from Puerto Rico to Louisiana 4 years earlier and had recently given birth to her third child. My Auntie Eladia arrived in Baton Rouge from Puerto Rico to become our caretaker while my mother worked. Shortly after Auntie Eladia moved in, she attended a company picnic with my mother. There she met Hennessy J. Gordeau. It was love at first sight for each of them, and they married within a year. Uncle was in the military, so Auntie stayed with us until Uncle Jay finished his service. And I have fond memories of my Auntie Eladia. She was a hard worker. She fed us well and tried to teach us Spanish as we tried to teach her English. We moved from Louisiana in 1957, and I did not communicate with my aunt and uncle again until about 2009. Life just got in the way, but I decided that I wanted to get more insight into my family history. When I connected with my aunt and uncle years later, they were thrilled to welcome me back into the fold. I called them often, and my husband sometimes listened in as we chatted on speakerphone. My auntie's Spanish, but very heavy Southern accent was charming, but my husband could not understand a word. And after the conversations, I would need to restate the conversations with him. In 2013, I visited Baton Rouge to meet my cousin Barbara, to conduct some genetics research, and of course, to visit my Auntie Eladia and my Uncle Jay. I took my father on that trip, and our first stop was to have lunch at the home of Auntie and Uncle. She made her famous shrimp etouffee, and my father was thrilled. He said it was just like he remembered, delicious and spicy. Even though my mother and father's divorce was difficult, my aunt and uncle treated my father with love and thoughtfulness. I was very impressed with their heartfelt welcome that they gave to us. Auntie and uncle decided that they needed to visit my mother, so the following year they arrived in Los Angeles, California. They spent a week with my mother, and it was the best week of my mother's life. During that trip, my aunt and uncle found out that I did not believe in God. They told me that they didn't care about my non-religious view of life, and that they wanted me to know that they loved me unconditionally. Living in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, had taught them that prejudice and discrimination only brought pain. We stayed in touch until they could not easily communicate any longer with me. And I will always remember their love and kindness and acceptance of me as their atheist niece. I hope that other non-theists will find the same type of love from family members when philosophical differences are discovered. And here is a photo of my Auntie Eladia and Uncle Jay, and I'll light a candle for them later on. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Margaret. That was beautiful. I would love to turn our attention over to Tish. Tish says, my uncle passed away 8 years ago. I celebrate him each year during this time. Thank you, Tish.
Very nice.
And thank you to Tish for sending that photo over in the chat as well, and for your beautiful headdress. Wonderful. Thank you for dressing up for the event. And then we can move on to Louise Danielson, who I saw her hand was up as well.
Hi, guys. Day of the Dead isn't a big event here in Denmark. We are some who find it very interesting. It is more the commercial Halloween that is celebrated, I would say. But I would like to honor my father, who died 10 years ago. And he actually was very, very poor when he was a child. He was actually the pictures that you see from olden times, from the 30s, 1930s, were of poor houses with sometimes ice on the walls and children with no shoes. He was one of those kids. And he was not fortunate with parents that could give him a lot of materialistic things, but he always kept a bright outlook on life. He always had an idea that somehow he could find a solution. Somehow he would work to find a way. And he passed that on to me. So when things get tough, I always think of him and know that he could actually take himself from that kid in the 1930s who was very, very poor and didn't have food, no shoes, and to my father, who was always there for me. And he died 10 years ago, and I don't know if you can see the picture. It's not easy to see. Let's see if we can do them like this. Sorry. Maybe we can. It's not easy. Sorry. No, but there's one short story I would like to tell about him, and that is actually that when my mother and he were dating, he would usually put his motorcycle up against a very large birch tree outside her apartment, and he would ask her to marry him there, and that birch tree would be there. Actually, the day he died, it was still there outside that apartment where they didn't live anymore. They lived some ways away from there, but that birch tree was removed on the day of his funeral. I didn't know that was going to happen, but it was scheduled to be removed, and I drove past the people who were removing the tree at the point of actually 10 minutes before the funeral. So I told my then husband to stop the car immediately. I ran out crying because this tree was actually something that meant something to me, and asked these people if I could have 2 branches from the tree. They gave me those 2 branches and were very worried, of course, but they gave them to me. I put them on top of his coffin at the funeral. 2 years later, a birch tree emerged from the grave, actually. Today, it's a huge birch tree that's almost 10 meters tall. And that is the sapling that just kept on growing. And that was my mom and dad's tree. And it's on their grave now. So that's how I remember them every week when I walk past there and I touch the tree, and I remember them because it reminds me of the good times and when they were here. Yeah, so thank you for listening.
Thank you. That was the most glorious story. You had a wonderful way of conveying it. Thank you so much, Louise.
Thanks, Margaret.
Done. All right, I think we are done with people who want to share. I'll double check.
Actually, if you don't mind, I would like to share.
Of course,
wonderful.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody for doing this. I joined this group. I am a Muslim, ex-Muslim agnostic myself, and I've appreciated the embrace from everybody, Margaret, and a lot of folks in the community. And, I never come expecting to share, but, between the birch tree and all these beautiful stories I've heard, I'm, moved to tears. So, I just wanted to share that my uncle passed away just a few weeks ago in Pakistan, and this is my father's the eldest, as am I, and eldest of 8. He's lost all the siblings except the bottom. It's hard to even count anymore. Bottom 3. So he's holding out in the second half as the eldest, and the last few siblings, including my godmom, who actually I honored last year, she passed away. So it's interesting to deal with mortality. I have a wonderful partner now who is a widow herself. So you talk about altars. We still maintain her ex-husband's altar in our home because, as I think Rolando was talking, surprisingly, even though that was an interesting presentation, I loved it. I was reminded that, we do keep those that we love, even in our humanity, minus any kind of afterlife guarantees or whatever, we don't know. That's the agnosticism. But yeah, we keep the memories we want to keep and we honor them. So it's wonderful to keep the dead, my ancestors, and my loved ones' ancestors and those who followed before us around. So thank you for letting me share, and I appreciate you letting me share the memory of my uncle. Yeah, he's still, I don't even know how to deal with it yet. It's too soon.
Thank you, Hyder. Very, very moving. And I wonder if there's anyone else. I see Diane Trotter's here. I don't want to put you on the spot, Diana, but you and I connected when your father died, and we loved him so much at the Free Thought Society. So please accept our condolences again today on this Dia de los Muertos. If you would like to speak, I'll unmute you.
Oh, thank you, Margaret. Yeah, I'm not prepared. I think probably next year I'll be more prepared. I miss him dearly. And certainly so do a lot of other people, more than I could know. And I guess I appreciate being able to honor him in the secular way that he would have wanted to, with the Day of the Dead and the presentations. But thank you so much for mentioning him. I appreciate it.
Of course. So we're going to have a last call. Well, now the Spanish room is coming back.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Sorry for the delay.
No problem.
We had a very talkative group.
Lovely. I'm so glad. Thank you very much for attending. We are very grateful. All the memorials were wonderful, and they remind us of our heritage and how we are remembered in this world. And that is a true life after death. And now, Memo will tell us the winners of different prizes that will be awarded during this event.
It is my honor to announce the winners for our various event prize categories. We have multiple categories: the best makeup, the best wardrobe, the best hair ornament, the best mask. But as always, we are flexible, and we saw some things that were commendable and worthy of being awarded a prize. So here they go. We have for winners Karen Zamudio for her honoring table and her wonderful costume. Luis Danielson, her participation was amazing. Jaren Sanidi, Tish Batts, amazing costumes. Jane Lawrenson, her thumbnail was pretty nice, and she also had amazing virtual background. Mariano Dominguez, his virtual honoring table was something else, and he had a beautiful pan de muertos to go with it. Hugh Taff, he had an amazing honoring table, so he could win a prize as well. Yolanda Leiva had a beautiful outdoors honoring table, and Nugget is the best pet of the show. I'm sure you will love the awards. All the people who won will be contacted so that they can choose their prize. We will be using the email address you provided when you register for the event. Once again, thank you very much for participating in the 2023 Dia de los Muertos Secular celebration of life.
I'm going to thank the co-sponsors, Hispanic American Freethinkers, Black Non-Believers, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the Center for Inquiry, the Secular Coalition for America, and all the supporters of the Free Thought Society who helped to finance this event. Now, if you're moved to donate to help finance the 2024 Dia de los Muertos Secular event, I'll put a donation link in the chat.
And we thank, of course, John Huertas for his excellent welcome message, and our keynote speaker. He was amazing, Hector Garcia, for his thoughtful presentation.
And of course, many thanks to our video director, Hyder Shah. You did such an excellent job, Hyder. Thank you so much.
Very difficult job.
A big thank you to all of our wonderful speakers and entertainers: Rolando Avila, Martín Buenfil, Andy Benumea, Sevi Hernandez, Abraham López Lafuente, Daniel Cepeda, and Salvador León y Bonisu Servín. We are very grateful to you for sharing your thoughts and talents with us.
During the credits, please enjoy the music of Marceline Sanchez performing her beautiful rendition of La Llorona. And thank you, everyone, for attending.
Ay de mí, llorona, 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 de azul celeste. Ay de mí, llorona, 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 de azul celeste. Aunque la vida me cueste, llorona, no dejaré de quererte. Aunque la vida me cueste, llorona, no dejaré de quererte. No sé qué tienen las flores, llorona, las flores del Campo Santo. No sé qué tienen las flores, llorona, las flores del Campo Santo, que cuando las mueve el viento, llorona, parecen que están llorando, que cuando las mueve el viento, llorona, parecen que están llorando. A un santo Cristo de fierro, llorona mis penas, le conté yo. A un santo Cristo de fierro, llorona mis penas, le conté yo. ¿Cuáles no serían mis penas, llorona, que el santo Cristo lloró? ¿Cuáles no serían mis penas, llorona, que el santo Cristo lloró? No creas que porque canto, llorona, tengo el corazón alegre. No creas que porque yo canto, llorona, tengo el corazón alegre. También de dolor se canta, llorona, cuando llorar ya no se puede. También de dolor se canta, llorona, cuando llorar ya no se puede. Llorona, llorona,
Hi, welcome to the Secular Day of the Dead, El Día de los Muertos. I'm Memo Benumea, and I'm one of the board members for this event. Again, bienvenidos. I was invited to talk about the cultural appropriation, specifically related to the Day of the Dead. And I did a small keynote that I called Día de los Muertos, Cultural Appropriation as a Life and Death Matter. Here is the thing. The term cultural appropriation is relatively new. And although it's already well understood in the United States, in Latin America, it's a very foreign concept. So very quickly, let me define cultural appropriation. ¿Qué diablos es cultural appropriation? Well, a very clear example is this image. It's a Native American young woman who is in a football stadium surrounded by fans of a team wearing headdresses as a costume. And it could be that those headdresses may be the most important honor that her tribe confers. And she sits there in silence, suffering because she's watching her culture reduced to a costume just for fun. That is what we're trying to avoid. We want to steer clear of cultural appropriation and make it cultural appreciation. That is our goal. And it might come down to three factors. One, what is the specific thing that you want to appreciate? Have you sought to understand it? Two, why? What is your intent of using it? Is it just for fun, or do you want to give it a deeper meaning? And three, did you reach out to people from that culture and make sure that they are okay with the way that you are using it? So in the Day of the Dead, let's start with the what. En el Día de los Muertos, everything has a symbolism. The marigolds, or cempasúchil, with their golden color, they guide the death. The food is what the loved one liked in life. The skulls represent them and represent us, the inevitability of death as part of life. Mictecacihuatl, Lady Micte, herself is really not a scary lady. She is the lady of Mictlán, the land of the dead. And again, she's not a bad entity. She just rules the land of the dead with her husband, Mictlanteculi, Lord of Mictlán. Right? In the original mythology, she presides the festivities of death. And with that, that's the ultimate celebration of life. You could say that the Day of the Dead actually has been appropriated multiple times already. Aztecs themselves might have appropriated it from other cultures. Then the Catholic Church, they appropriate everything and they change the dates to make it fit with the All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day from their calendar. And then contemporary Mexicans may appropriate it again, right? But let me tell you something about Mexicans. We do like to import traditions, even our own traditions. And I actually have an example of something that I like to call reverse cultural appropriation. So let me tell you about the wonderful, immemorial Day of the Day parade in Mexico City. An old parade, an old tradition that spans many, many years. And, thanks to accurate book record keeping, we know exactly how old it is, because this ancestral parade began in the early 21st century, in the year of 2016. The natives of the new Tenochtitlan, or Mexico City, tell the tale of a living god who came down to Mexico City just 1 year before, in 2015. You may know him as Daniel Craig, or you may also know him as James Bond. This is not a joke. Well, maybe the part of Daniel Craig being a god, but that really depends on how you define God. But the part of the parade is really true. You see, in the movie Spectre, James Bond runs across Day of the Dead parade in Mexico City. But that parade never existed before. It was just created for the movie itself. It had never happened in Mexico City. But Mexicans went to watch the movie and they thought, that is really cool. Why don't we do this? And so in 2016, we held our first Day of the Day parade in Mexico City. 250,000 people, total success. So it was repeated and again and again. By 2019, 2 million Mexicans gather to celebrate the Day of the Dead parade in Mexico City. It's like we say, thanks, Hollywood. This is really cool. We'll take it from here. So let me tell you about a personal example. Cinco de Mayo. One Cinco de Mayo, I went to have dinner with some friends. I was in New York City, and we went to a restaurant in Manhattan. And the owner of the restaurant was having a Cinco de Mayo party in the middle of Manhattan. There were not many Mexicans in there. So we came in, and he sees me, and he says, hey, you're the first Mexican to come to our Cinco de Mayo party. And he's like, well, yeah, because we Mexicans don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo. That is not a thing. And whatever, he says, let me give you some guacamole. It's on the house. And okay, because I'm Mexican, I'm supposed to like guacamole? You know, I could have taken offense, but I actually took the guacamole. It was delicious. And the thing is that the guy was trying to connect for commercial reasons, very badly. But you could see the intent to reaching out was there. So let me give you one more example. You might recognize this one here. That is, or it's actually this one. That is actually happened in the secular Day of the Dead, 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? They gave us cardboards that we color and we wear our masks. And my girl, you can see her, she has her face painted, right? They were doing face paint. But let me be clear, those are not Mexican traditions. We don't do that, right? I was in a Day of the Dead every year in my elementary school, and we never did cardboards, and we never put them as masks, and we never painted our faces. That's not what we do. But I thought, just as those Mexicans in Mexico City, I thought, hey, this is really cool. Why don't we do this? And guess what? Now, as today, I have used that same half day, half alive makeup multiple years because it's really cool and it has a beautiful symbolism. But again, this is not something that I learned in Mexico. This is something that I learned in San Diego with Victoria. And just as the Day of the Day parade, I'm telling you, Victoria, thank you. This is really cool. And I'll take it from here. So let's appreciate the Day of the Dead. What pieces? All of it. Please grab all of it. Why? Because we have colorful altars, right? We honor our loved ones with the altars. We have sweet alfeñiques. We have papel picado that adds color to the room. We have delicious pan de muerto. Makeup? We really don't have that, but if you like it, yeah, let's wear it. It's actually really cool. Costumes? Please wear them. In Mexico City, they started wearing them in 2016. Why not us, right? And calaveritas. Those are really cool, but let's talk about why. Why are we doing this? Well, our intent is to connect between us, to connect with secular people, to connect between two nations or more nations, if you count all of Latin America, to connect between the living and the dead, or loved ones who have already passed away. So to whom are you going to reach? Well, to all of us. And this is the thing. The Day of the Dead shouldn't be a Mexican holiday. It shouldn't even be a Latin American holiday. It should be a holiday for all humanity because we are all connected through life and death. So, El Día de los Muertos is a colorful holiday that can inspire others around the world. Let's celebrar El Día de los Muertos. Thank you.